Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. I'm Chris Witt, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today, sir?
I'm great. I'm just watching this Elite Eight game through your glasses.
Oh, yeah, you can do that. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. How about
Here,
them, Adam?
I'll hook you up. Well, you're already watching it, but
It's a
I'll
car
say it better.
commercial right now. We're watching the car commercial. So we are on the last Elite Eight game as we record this. It's UCLA versus Michigan. We're at a TV timeout, first TV timeout of the game. Early in this game. Going to be interesting. Looks at this point like it could be a really good game, unlike the Gonzaga game that just went down, where they beat the living breaks off of USC, and once again making my tournament pick look that much better. Although the last time an undefeated team beat a team by over 20 in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four it was a Final Four game. They were talking about it was UNLV, and then they beat Duke by 30 and then lost in the national championship. Duke came back and won the national championship.
Wow. Sheesh. Yeah, Gonzaga continues to look like clearly, like far and away, the best team. I thought all year long it was like Gonzaga and Baylor was probably right there, and then a little bit of a drop off. I mean, as good as Baylor's been, Gonzaga looks a lot better than that. I mean, this is as good a college basketball team as I remember seeing. I mean,
The
so
second half,
complete.
the second half of this game, they were messing around, like they're laughing. They weren't even they weren't. I mean, they were not running crisp offense. It was crisper than any offense that you'll see in the NCAA right now, but it wasn't Gonzaga's offense, and they're laughing and having fun and just demolishing USC, who has tremendous length and is incredibly athletic. And people were talking about, has Gonzaga really got to see a team big in this kind of as big as USC is? And well, it didn't matter. I've never seen a team move the ball so quick and so efficiently on offense as Gonzaga.
It's that's the name of the game, and they do all the key things. They move the ball on offense really well. They shoot the ball really well. They play really good defense. They don't get enough credit sometimes for their defense, and they rebound.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to do all those things. Great free throw shooting team, all the stuff that you need to have. They do it. So while we're waiting for that game to get over, and it may not get over by the time we're finished with this podcast, so you'll just have to check the score yourself, and you'll know by the time you hear this anyway. But let's check our Nosebleed Sports Podcast NCAA tournament pool.
Has anybody taken me down yet? Have I been knocked out of first place yet?
You have not been knocked out of first place, but there's a first place tie.
When you look at the standings, whose name is at the very top?
That would be yours, my friend.
That's all I care about.
It's yours, and you have Gonzaga as the national champ. But Tony Edwards is crawling up your back, pal. And he also has Gonzaga. And then I'm third, and I have Baylor. So that's my only thing. Number one, the team I want to win the most is Michigan. After that, the team I want to win the most is Gonzaga. Those are two of my favorite teams, have been for a long time. But if Gonzaga, if either one of them gets in there and Baylor makes the national championship game, I'm going to have to probably root for Baylor if I want to win this thing.
If you want to win it, that's correct. So right now, as we speak at this moment, who are the top 5 that are going to get a T-shirt going into the Final Four?
So I will skip your name and my name because we are exempt. We don't get T-shirts. So then we have Tony Edwards. We have Eric Stidham, Jason Myers, Dylan Myers, Joe Leonard. That was 5.
There you go.
So there you go. Joe's hanging on, man. He had Illinois. Winning that thing.
That's going to be rough. That could be the detriment of his bracket.
But the guys under him had Oregon and Ohio State and another Illinois. So
does anybody have Michigan winning at all?
Yeah, Dylan Myers does, and I hope he's right. If Gonzaga doesn't win it, I hope Michigan wins it. But we'll find out. They got to get past UCLA first.
That's exactly right. And they're winning 11-4 with 10 minutes left in the first half. So a long way to go in that game.
Does Mick Cronin look furious yet?
When his face comes up, I look down. I refuse to look. It's like, you're not supposed to look and chase a leprechaun. You ever watch that? Like, leprechauns scare me after watching the movie Leprechaun, that scary movie when I was a little kid. So I purposely don't look at Mick Cronin because he reminds me of that little leprechaun from the movie. So no, I have no idea. Of course he's mad. Of course he's upset. They're losing by 7 right now. So of course he's furious. If they were winning by 7, he would be furious, screaming, face red, looking like his teeth were going to fall out. He needs to get his teeth fixed, by the way.
Really?
His bottom teeth always look jacked up when he's screaming and yelling.
Huh. Like, I don't know if you remember that Will Ferrell in Anchorman.
Yes.
A close up of his mouth and you can see his bottom teeth and they're really messed up.
Yes.
Mine were like that too. And then I got braces and now they're kind of like that again.
Yeah. Mine are back that way too. Mine are back that way too. So who's the surprise of the tournament for you, Adam? Is it the Oral Robert? Is it Oral Roberts? Is it Loyola? Even though Loyola really wasn't that much of a surprise this year, who's the surprise team this year for you?
I don't know. It's tough because you had 4 double-digit seeds reach the Sweet 16 or better. I mean, that Oregon State team, they beat Tennessee, Oklahoma State, and Loyola, and they made it to the elite, to the Sweet 16. Lost in the Elite Eight. Sorry. Oral Roberts won 2 games, lost in the Sweet 16. They beat Ohio State and Florida. That's really impressive.
For a 15 seed to make it to the Sweet 16 is super impressive.
Very first one to ever do that, I believe.
No. Second to the give me a second here. Florida Gulf Coast. 15 seed made it to the Sweet 16. That was the 15 seed that beat Duke that year.
Okay. Syracuse,
is that right? They beat Duke. Who they beat somebody?
I can't remember.
It was the number 2 seed.
It might have been. Syracuse was an 11 seed. It's kind of tough to, even when the Blue Bloods are down a little bit, like Syracuse and UCLA. I mean, they're double-digit seeds this year, but it's kind of hard to think of them as Cinderella teams, which we'll talk more about later. But I don't know. So I guess Oral Roberts, even though they lost in the Sweet 16, they did beat 2 really good teams. I mean, I think there are a lot of people that thought Ohio State was going to go to the Final Four or close to it, and they beat them in the first round. So probably Oral Roberts, coming from the smallest conference and the least likely to have the run that they did.
Right.
Would you agree with that? Or would you? Okay.
Absolutely. That Oral Roberts team. Anytime you get a 15 seed to win 1 game is surprising, much less make it win 2 and make it to the Sweet 16.
That's right. Right on. So we are, so you're still sticking with Gonzaga. Obviously.
Absolutely.
Yep. It's hard not to. Okay. So I chose Butler. I looks to me like Gonzaga is going to beat everybody by 20. So
if you chose Butler, you're in big trouble.
I'm sorry. Not Butler. Baylor.
There you
go. Same beginning and finish to the name, different middle.
Burr.
All right. That's about all we can do for now for the update on the NCAA tournament. We'll certainly talk. I mean, we'll have the Final Four in the championship game by the time we come on next week. So we'll discuss that. But I want to get into something now that is one of our favorite, one of the biggest reasons why this is both our favorite time of the year. Number one, you have the NCAA tournament, but right on the back of that,
the Masters
is the Masters. Exactly what I was going to say. So who's your pick to win the Masters? Mine. I'm going to go first if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I'm going I think I'm going Lee Trevino.
Lee Trevino.
Yeah.
All right. If I were you, I'd go ahead and take a guy like Dustin Thomas.
Oh. Dustin Thomas?
Did I say Dustin? I meant Justin. Sorry.
Justin Thomas.
Thomas.
I thought you were maybe meaning either Dustin Johnson or.
No, I get them. I always do that. I always go Dustin Johnson and Justin Thomas. I always get them all. I always goof up who's who. Justin Thomas is the little dude who belongs to the same country club as Tiger Woods, and the kids. He's in that little group of people like with Ricky Fowler and Jordan Spieth. That little young group of guys that hang out and play golf together all the time. That little fun group. Yeah, Justin Thomas. That kid he is very good, and he's might be one of the best he's definitely one of the best golfers, but I think Rory might still be number one in the world right now, but Justin Thomas is going to take it over. But besides that, let's talk about what we really were going to say. And it's time for the Major League Baseball season to start.
That's right. I was going to throw in
baseball drafts are here.
And John Daly, but
got to take John Daly.
Yeah. But anyway, okay. Right. Our favorite time. One of the biggest reasons why this is our favorite time of the year, because it couples with the NCAA tournament, and then you go right into the start of Major League Baseball, and then you go shortly after that starts, you go into the NBA playoffs, which are pushed back a little bit more this year. But you just have, from March through June, it's just the best sports time. So let's get in. And I know this is your favorite. You are Mr. Baseball. So let's talk about, we had Bobby Nightingale Jr. on to talk about the Reds last week. All right. So now let's talk about the teams that are going to win this year. I'm just kidding. We'll find out if Chris picks the Reds to win the NL Central in just a second. So as a matter of fact,
it's our year.
As a matter of fact, let's just start with that. Who is your pick to win the National League Central?
I'm taking the Redlegs. Got to take the Redlegs. We got this offense is going to be really good this year. Obviously, they're going to hit. Unlike last year where they couldn't get it going, I think this year they definitely get it going. But pitching is going to be suspect. But I think everybody's going to be surprised by Michael Lorenzen, and the back end of this bullpen is still going to be locked down because Garrett is going to be the best closer. He's going to win whatever the closer of the year is. I don't even know, is the Rolaids award still relief award or the fireman award or whatever it's been in hundreds of years that it's been going on. Amir Garrett's going to win that. This team's going to surprise every single person in the entire world and upset the nation, and the Cincinnati Reds will be National League Central champions once again.
And you're right. I agree with you that Amir Garrett is going to upset the nation. I was talking to my brother the other day, and I told him, Chris and I are going to argue so much about the antics of Amir Garrett this year. I can just already tell he's so feeling himself, and he should be right now because he struck out everybody he faced almost in spring training and looks unbelievable right now. And I hope he can take that in, but he loves to do all
he wants someone to look at him after he strikes him out. Like, look at me, because I'm going to tell you where to go. Keep walking to the bench, son. Keep walking to the bench. You come beat me, then come talk.
And then he wants to do the little rock the baby thing or pump his chest or whatever. It's going to bother me all year long, and you and I are going to have some knockdown dragouts about that thing. So I can't wait for that.
Me too.
You went with the Reds. I want you to be right. And I want to be wrong because I am taking the St. Louis Cardinals to win. They always win.
It's the obvious choice. It's the obvious choice.
They're the front end of their rotation and the back end of their bullpen are really good. And then they added Nolan Arenado to their lineup at third base, and then put probably the best defensive third baseman in the game, maybe still at third base for them. I to add him in the lineup right there next to Goldschmidt, it's going to be
a perennial MVP every single year. The kid's an absolute stud. It's Joey Votto. He's Joey Votto of 2000 and what year was that? 8, 9, 10, something in 10, that nature. However many years ago, when he had 3 straight years of being probably one of him and Carlos Gonzalez were constantly battling out who was the best player in the National League. This Nolan Arenado is going through a 3 or 4 year stretch like that right now.
That's right. So I'm taking the St. Louis Cardinals there. What do you have in the National League West?
So
there's only 2 choices, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't believe that the National League West has any other teams in it this year, except for the Dodgers and the Astros. I almost said the Astros. I mean, it's got to be the Dodgers. The Dodgers have just done way too much. Uh, it's as obvious a pick. This team is unbelievable. They won a World Series and they brought on the Cy Young winner from last year. This team is all but unstoppable. The only team that can stop them, I would say, would be the Reds because they know what to do and how to hit the Cy Young because they got to play next to him. They know how to get under his skin. They know they've got all the ins and outs. So that might be a little predecessor of what I got coming up later on. But I'm taking the Dodgers for obvious reasons in the West.
Okay. I hate to make it boring, but I'm taking the Dodgers too.
That's
For,
too easy though. I mean, if you
it
don't take
is.
the Dodgers, if you take anybody but the Dodgers in the West, the Dodgers could lose their three best players and still have the second or third best team in baseball.
Yeah. But the thing is, the Padres added so much too that I think there are going to be people that do pick the Padres to win this division. And I don't think they're completely wrong about that if they do.
The Padres could be the second best team in baseball, but they're that much further behind the Dodgers. That's how far everyone else is behind the Dodgers this year, to me.
Okay. Yeah, I think their rotations match up really well, and the Padres might even be a little bit better, maybe, depending on how Clayton Kershaw is. But the Dodgers lineup, even with Tatis and Machado, I mean the Dodgers lineup is just top to bottom unbelievable. So I'm with you. Take the Dodgers. Who do you have in the National League East?
Man, this is probably the toughest one for me because I really like this Braves team. We talk about them a lot the last couple of years. They're a fun young team to watch, and but the Mets just keep adding pieces, slowly but surely. Keep adding pieces. So I'm going to go against the grain here and go with the New York Mets because I know you're taking the favorite.
I don't know if are the Braves the favorite. I mean, the Mets. I feel like the Mets are getting
I feel like
a
they're
lot of
they're
heat.
both top five teams in they're both, I'd say, top five teams in all of Major League Baseball. So I mean, I don't think there's probably a front runner out of the two, but I'm taking the Mets.
And you're right. I am taking the Braves. They're my second favorite National League team, and and
I know you are.
and even if they weren't, I really like. I mean, their rotation's been good. They've got some exciting young arms we've seen the last couple of years. Unfortunately, we saw that firsthand in the first round of in the wild card round of the playoffs last year.
Yes, we
So
did.
anyway, taking the Braves. That is going to be. I think that's going to be kind of a similar race, though. That would be really exciting over the last 2 weeks of the season to see the Braves and Mets right neck and neck, just like the Dodgers and Padres. Hopefully, will be too.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the AL East. Who do you have? Who do you like in the AL East?
Well, the AL East is where my second favorite team plays, the Boston Red Sox. It's also where the New York Yankees sit. But this year, I'm taking the Toronto Blue Jays. I think they knocked both these teams out. I'm taking the Blue Jays. I love to say the Red Sox, but I think the Red Sox finished third out of the playoffs this year.
I agree with you. I'm going with the Yankees. Their rotation, their bullpen, their lineup. I mean, they have it all. There, as a matter of fact, Major League Baseball over the last or on MLB.com the last few days, they released their top 10 rotation, bullpen, and lineup. Yankees are top three in all of those.
Wow, really? That's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. Um, okay, so let's go AL West.
AL West.
This is going to be a really interesting one.
Yeah. So um, in the AL West, it's so hard not to go with Oakland just because Oakland always seems to be sneaky and be up in there, whether it's a wild card or win the division or what. But the Astros are still a really good baseball team. And they kind of got a break last year because of COVID. And, they didn't get the scrutiny they would normally have gotten in full stadiums and things like that, like everyone wanted to give them. Uh, but I think this Astros team is still a really, really, really good baseball team. They haven't lost too many offensive pieces. Their offense is still phenomenal. Um, I want to take the Astros.
All right, I agree with you. Their pitching is the only thing that I'm not positive about anymore, but it should still be pretty good, honestly. I mean, and their lineup is fantastic, like you said. But I am going with the team that I think in the West has the best pitching between the rotation and the bullpen. And this is usually a team that I probably my favorite American League team. Um, that I see new names every year. And I'm like, never heard of that guy, never heard of that guy. And it's the Oakland A's. As good as they are, I feel like they turn the roster over so much because Billy Bean has just made the career out of that. In 2003 or whatever, there was there was a movie made, a
Yep.
book made, and a movie made about that. And he's been doing it ever since.
I feel like it would be easier for me to pick who you think is going to win each division than it is for me to decide who I'm going to.
I'm a very predictable person. It's probably not a good quality, but I hope that at least you know what you're going to get with me.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I could tell you knew I was going to pick Oakland. All right, let's go AL Central.
All right. So the AL Central, we're going to go with a two-team race here between, I think this is a two-team race and it comes down to the end. This could probably be one of the funnest races because the White Sox and the Twins are a lot alike in a lot of different ways. But just because I don't like remembering Carlton Fisk as a White Sox at the end of his career, I don't like rethinking about Ken Griffey Jr. for that like 1 year he fell asleep in the dugout for the White Sox. I don't like remembering those things. And I really love Torrey Hunter, and that just always makes me think of the Twins. I don't know why, but just the smile. So I'm going with the Twins. That's the reason I'm taking them over the White Sox in this, literally for no baseball reason whatsoever.
Well, they did set the record for home runs last year. So I mean, they're gonna score a ton of runs, and they may pitch well enough to be a good team and make the playoffs again. So I wanted to pick the Twins. I want to pick the Twins, but I'm getting sucked into all the rhetoric about the White Sox. I mean, the White Sox are this kind of hot new team that everybody's picking. And it's hard for me when I look at their lineup and their rotation. It's just hard not to. So I am going to, and I feel okay about having different picks there. So I am going with the White Sox. All right. So we have our division winners. How about wild cards? So 2 wild cards again this year from each league. So I will let you go first. Who do you like in the National League?
In the National League, I'm going to go with the Padres and the Braves.
And so we have, I think, all the same.
We're going to go the exact, yeah.
So I'm going with the Padres and Mets.
Right.
Okay. So we have, I think, all the same playoff teams except for the National League Central. You've got the Reds, I've got the Cardinals.
Yep.
American League, 2 wild cards in the American League. Who do you like?
Let's see. So in the American League, I would probably go with let's make it nice and easy. I think this year it's going to be the A's because they just always find their way in. And I'm going with the White Sox. No Yankees, no Red Sox in the playoffs this year.
Wow, no Yankees. Okay. All right. So I went with Minnesota and Tampa Bay as my wild cards. I would like to see. I mean, Tampa Bay
I
is
love
coming off
watching
of, yeah,
Tampa
coming
Bay.
off of,
Fun to watch.
right, coming off that World Series appearance. They lost, but they were in it, and they didn't really lose anybody from their lineup. They did lose Blake Snell, which is a huge loss, but they still have a ton of pitching, and their lineup, if they hit a bunch of guys, Randy Arozarena became a household name, and I mean a bunch, Brandon Lowe, and a bunch of guys, Lowe or Lau. Now I'm second guessing myself on that, but
I call him low.
their lineup did great things in the playoffs, and did enough. Their pitching was amazing all year, and then their lineup did enough to score runs, and they just stayed in games. And so I'm hoping to see them back in the two smaller market teams, Minnesota and Tampa Bay. Hoping to see them get in. All right. So let's say, who is winning the National League pennant?
Cincinnati Reds.
All right, I'll give you a second chance.
All
Who is
right.
winning the National League
The
pennant?
Dodgers are winning the World Series this year. The Dodgers are too good. I'm taking the Dodgers in the National League.
Okay. All right. And I have the same thing. American League.
The American League, I think we could have some fun with, right? This could get a little interesting. I've been pushing this thing the whole time. I have no reason for it, just to be goofy. But I'm going with the Blue Jays. Let's get a new AL East team in there outside of the big three, we should say, because Tampa Bay always seems to be in it.
I'm also going with an AL East team to win the American League championship, and that would be the New York Yankees.
I hope to God that's not the World Series.
Dodgers, Yankees.
Oh, that would be
two
so terrible.
Highest payrolls in baseball. Okay, and you already said, right? You think the Dodgers are going to repeat?
Yep.
I have the same thing. I think the Dodgers are going to repeat too. Now, we have a lot of the same teams, but we have enough differences. Are we going to place any bets on our predictions?
No, I think I've got our bet here for us to do. So real quick, look at the bracket, because I don't have any electronic right now to take a look at.
Gotcha.
So we've got three. There you go. We've got 3 of the 4 Final Fours teams as we are speaking right now. And this is becoming a really good game as UCLA just hits another 3 to go up by 4 with a minute left in the first half against Michigan. So what is Gonzaga is waiting on the winner of this game. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so the Baylor, who's the other Final Four?
Baylor and Houston.
Houston, that's right, Houston. The team nobody's talking about. So you've got Baylor on one side, I've got Gonzaga on the other. I say we make a bet. Hopefully they play each other in the final game. That would make it even more fun. But I say, let's say who makes it further. Okay, Baylor, Gonzaga. Loser has to do the podcast with his shirt off.
I can't do that. Number one, because I don't take my shirt off. I've never taken my shirt off.
What do you got? Let's hat it up and got nipple rings or something? Were you scared to show people?
I don't talk about that part of my life generally on the podcast. What I have going on in my shirt, but I don't take my shirt off. I shower with the shirt on. I also don't think Baylor is going to beat Gonzaga. I just picked them to pick somebody different, so I can see if I can win this thing.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like we have a full season, and we're doing this thing. If we bet on if we just like who has the most correct picks between the division winners, and maybe even we could do the division winners and the wild cards. And we could either leave it at that. Whoever has the most picks correct of the playoff teams.
I feel like playoff teams should work. Like if the Sox and Twins flip flop, you shouldn't be. Neither of us should be discounted for that. Not discounted, right? Like if the Sox win the division and the Twins are the wild card, or vice versa. We
Oh,
should
right.
both get credit for that.
Yeah. Just total. If you make the
Total
playoffs, whether it's
as
yeah,
a wild card or not.
correct.
I'm in for that. What are we betting?
That's the $1 million question. Let's see. I would. You know what? We have a lot of time to figure out what the. I know we usually, when we say that, we usually leave it until the very end to pick a bet.
Comment below. Subscribe. Comment below.
Yeah.
Comment below down here and tell us what we should bet.
Yeah, and we'll fix that in editing. We'll put up the graphic where you're pointing at afterward. So, all right, let's. We don't have to. Yeah, if you comment, give us some ideas. Nosebleeds Sports Podcast on Facebook. Look it up. Shoot us a message on there. Shoot either one of us a message on Twitter. We haven't been giving our Twitter accounts out lately. But you're Sick With It, SICWHITTIT, and I am Adam Schmidt, SCHMIDT 44 on Twitter. So shoot us a message on there. Comment in whatever thing you're listening to this on, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, whatever it is. Let us know what should be our bet.
I'm in. I'm up for anything.
I know you are. I'm up for almost nothing, but we will handle that.
So that being said, let's move back in, since we are watching this game, and with 1 second left in the first half, one of the two big-haired point guards, this one is from Michigan, sprinted down, got fouled, missed the front end, missed his first and second free throws, go into the locker room down by 4. Let's talk about, there's only been a few 11 seeds. There's been a couple 11 seeds to make it to the Final Four and do some damage in this tournament. UCLA is an 11 seed. We kind of said we don't consider them a Cinderella team because, they're just not a team coming from nowhere. It's UCLA, right? So that being said, they're not Butler going to a national championship game as an 11 seed. This week, our Mount Rushmore is best Cinderella teams of all time.
That's right.
Adam Schmidt, I'm going to allow you to go first.
All right. I went, I kind of like doing this if it makes sense. I went a couple of older ones and a couple of newer ones. So let me start with the 85 Villanova Wildcats. They were an 8 seed. Their regular season record was 19-10. Now, that wouldn't be as big a deal if they just made it to the Sweet 16 and lost or whatever. This 85 Villanova Wildcats team went all the way and beat the Georgetown Hoyas in the national championship.
Patrick Ewing's Georgetown Hoyas, who were thought to be unstoppable that year.
Correct. And so the biggest thing for me why I had to put them on is they won 5 games, and they did not have to play a double-digit seed the entire time. So they beat Dayton in the first round, which was a 9 seed. And the biggest thing is they beat 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s to win the championship here. So they beat Michigan and Georgetown, who were both number 1s. They beat North Carolina and Memphis, who were both number 2s. And then they beat Maryland, I think, in the Sweet 16 as a number 5 seed. So I think that was the team that beat the most good teams, or the best, the highest seeded teams.
There you
go. Next is 86. The very next year, 86 LSU Tigers.
Beat a 1. They had to beat a 1, a 2, and a 3 seed that year.
That's correct. They made it all the way as an 11 seed, made it to the Final Four, and lost in the semifinals. But like you said, they beat Purdue, who was a 6 seed, and then they beat Memphis, 3 seed, Georgia Tech, a 2 seed, and Kentucky, a 1, on their way to the Final Four. My third is the 2006 George Mason masonry bits.
Oh, the masonry bits.
Masonry bits. Uh,
Extra little
they
feather, the extra little feathers on the edge of the bit.
That's right. They were an 11 seed, and an at-large bid that year out of the CAA, an at-large bid. They did not win their conference tournament, but they beat. Let's see, they made it to the Final Four that year as an 11 seed. Beat Michigan State, number 6. Beat North Carolina, number 3. Beat Wichita State, 7 seed, and beat the number 1 seed Yukon Huskies. They lost in the Final Four to Florida, who by 2 in overtime, and
In overtime.
Florida went on to win the national championship. All right, my very last one. I marked 3. I'm choosing my 4th right now.
Oh, this is great because I was choosing between 2.
I have it down to 2. I'm trying to decide. And I think I'm going to go. I so badly want to go with the 2008 Davidson Wildcats, but I'm going to go with the 2011 Butler Bulldogs. The year after losing the championship game, making I think were they an 11 seed the year before? Made the no.
They were 11 seed this year. This was the first year, and then the next year they wasn't this the first year?
I believe this was the second year.
They went back-to-back years.
They were an 8 seed from what I had in 2011. This was the year after Gordon Hayward left. So they were in the national championship game. Gordon Hayward barely missed the bank in half court shot that would have won the national championship game. They lost it, came back the next year as an 8 seed, went all the way back to the national championship game. They beat on their way. They beat Old Dominion, which was a 9 seed in the first round. Obviously, they beat Pittsburgh, who was a 1 seed that year. Wisconsin, 4 seed, and Florida, the 2 seed that year. And then they beat VCU, who was another team you could put on this list.
Yep.
An 11 seed that made the Final Four that year. That was the only thing that gave me a little pause, is that they beat a double-digit seed in the Final Four. So I tried to keep those teams out. If you had to play a double-digit seed, I didn't want to put you in there. But this Butler team, to get all the way back the next year with Matt Howard, I think was their big guy. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember who else was there at that time, but they had a bunch of good players. But one of Brad Stevens' last teams here at Butler. And they lost to UConn in the national championship game. But to get all the way back there, very impressive, unexpected. It was unexpected the first year, and then to come back after they lose by far their best player in Gordon Hayward. So I'm going with them. Those are my 4. Who you got?
So we're pretty close. What we did, what we came up with. I wanted to put that LSU team in there because they were an 11 seed and beat a 1, 2, and 3. But I just don't remember that team, right? Like, I don't remember that team. And I was only 2 when Villanova did what they did, but you hear about that forever. Raleigh Massimino and that whole deal, right? That's known. It's like the NC State with Jim Valvano. I did not put that NC State team on here because that NC State team, when you go back and watch that 30 for 30, they were good. They were really good.
And they were a 6 seed. I thought about putting them in there too, but they were a 6 seed, and they did play 2 double-digit seeds that year to get there.
Yeah. I put in Villanova, the 85 Villanova Wildcats, because of how dominant that Georgetown game was, that Georgetown team was. I also put in the 2006 George Mason team, the 11 seed in the Final Four.
Go Mason Ribbits.
That's right. Only the second 11 seed to ever make it to the Final Four behind that LSU team. And I went with the 2011 8 seed Butler team that made it to the championship game. But where we differ is I went with the 2018 11 seed Loyola of Chicago that made it to the Final Four, because if you don't put Oh man, I didn't write her name down. I don't have anything to put her. What's her name? Sister Jean.
Sister Jean, yeah.
Sister Jean. If you don't put Sister Jean on here, then you have an issue.
Sister Jean gets too much run. She has nothing to do with this team. Get her out of here.
But they were an 11 seed, made it to the Final Four, made an unbelievable run. And you say that when you're looking directly in that 90-something-year-old woman's face.
I'll tell her right to her face. I'll go nose to nose. I'll go nose to I'll go mouth to ear then. Go mouth to ear. Let her know what's up.
There you go.
You never played ball one day in your life, pal. Don't take any credit for this.
Don't act like just because you're in a wheelchair that you got something over me.
That doesn't count for anything.
No,
I'll still fight you. I'll fight you in that wheelchair.
That's right. I don't care. I don't care if you're 4 times my age. I'll knock you out, woman. What, woman?
I wish.
None of that matters to me.
I wish 4 times my age was correct, but it's not. She's 160 years old. No,
closer to that than she is to your age.
Okay, so that's I mean that's a good pick too. That Florida Gulf Coast team you mentioned, that VCU, that 11 seed VCU team from 2011, we mentioned that. The Davidson team in 08 with Steph Curry, that was super exciting. I wanted to put them in there, but they only made it to the Sweet 16.
Right.
They lost in the Sweet 16, so that was hard for me to do. I wanted to do Loyola Marymount was another one, the 11 seed that, and they made it to the Elite Eight, lost in the Elite Eight. That was the Hank Gathers Loyola Marymount team that averaged 122 points a game that year.
That's unbelievable.
122, beat Michigan in the tournament and scored 149 points in that game. That would have just been fun to go back and watch those games, just watch that offense. They were one of the first teams to like run and shoot tons of threes and shoot quickly. And just would have been fun to go back and watch that at a time that nobody really did that. And then I really wanted to stick that 88 Kansas team in there, the Danny Manning team, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I mean, they were a 6 seed, so it's not like they're a 9, 10, 11 seed or whatever. But they did go as a 6 seed. They did go all the way through and win the national championship game. Danny Manning cemented himself as one of the best college basketball players in history that year. The only problem, and they beat number 1 Oklahoma. They beat number 2 Duke. They beat number 4 Kansas State, number 7 Vanderbilt. The only thing is in the second round, they beat Murray State, was a 14 seed, and they upset, I can't remember now, but they upset somebody, a 3 seed, whoever the 3 seed was then. So they played in the second round, played Murray State. But the other reason that I wanted to put them in here was because Kansas, their first round opponent that year in 1988 that they beat was number 11 seed Xavier Musketeers. And that's why I wanted to put them in there.
There was a Xavier team in there that I thought about putting in there that beat Georgetown with the Twin Towers that made it to the Sweet 16. I attempted to put in there, but let it go.
I was thinking you were going to go with one of the newer ones, one of the more recent teams that made it to the Elite Eight.
Those weren't Cinderellas. They were expected to be doing. They were expected.
Right. Okay. So good. I mean, we covered everything I had on my list, and we got it done.
I like it.
We already talked about up front. We talked about this year's the 4 double-digit seeds that from this year's tournament. And one of them are still playing right now as we speak. UCLA Bruins.
Yes, they are. Who could very well easily be on this list somewhere down the line because they're playing really good right now.
I'm telling you, to get all the way to the Final Four, like we said, it's hard to put a UCLA, a Michigan State, a Kansas, a Duke in there. But the year that they finished the year losing their last 4 games.
Yeah.
And it looked like they just barely snuck in this tournament, and now they're playing for a chance to go to the Final Four. All right. We are up to our last thing, and I can't wait for this because I cannot wait to hear the things that you have to say about our guy, Mr. TJ Miller.
All right, TJ Miller.
TJ Miller, Meticulously Ridiculous, special HBO special from 2017 is what we watched for our comedy special this week. It was on Amazon Prime, so if you have not seen this and you have Amazon Prime, go back and watch it. Well, I'm going to recommend that you watch it. I'd like to hear what you say, Chris. What do you think about TJ
You,
Miller?
I'll tell you, I didn't have high expectations going into this, but it was. I mean, it was good. It wasn't. It didn't knock my socks off. It didn't. I didn't. I laughed a few times, caught myself with a few giggles in there. I never at one point in time like was having trouble, so I like had to pause it because I was laughing that hard. I didn't have anything like that. No hysterical laughs. I did have some good little, had a few little giggles in there. The dog slave thing was kind of funny. I thought that was pretty. That's something that was kind of funny. I don't understand. I didn't know he was like a prop comic kind of guy. I still don't think he was a prop comic, except for the fact that he just poured water all over himself in the beginning of this, which, and that you could tell they cut this thing up because at one point they show him and he's dry and then all of a sudden he's soaking wet. So obviously something went wrong in the very
Oh,
beginning of this. Like, I mean, he was wet, but like in the beginning, I remember looking at it and I'm like, why does it look like he's sweating so bad right now? And then they show him with all these bottles all over him. I'm like, they're cutting this thing up. And then all of a sudden they show him with his shirt soaked and his jacket soaked. And I'm like, how did that happen? And then they cut away and then his pants are soaked. I'm like, what is going on? And then they show him drinking water and pouring it all over himself. And
like a gerbil.
yeah, like a gerbil. That was this dude is a goofball. All right. Now, I really truly think that I could like some of the jokes that he was like, people, you guys aren't ready for these. The snurfle, lurple, whatever that thing was, where the guy sneezes and barfs at the same time, the snarf thing. I actually kind of laughed at that because that's some stupid stuff that my brain just randomly comes up with and could do a whole story on it for no out of the blue for no reason. Right. I could totally do that. Which I think is pretty funny, right? I thought that was pretty. I thought that was better than the audience thought it was. But a lot of it was just, I don't know, out there. It was a little more out there than I was ready for, I guess. But it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was mediocre. It was a decent little comedy special. I'm glad I watched it. Uh, he's just a weird dude, man. He's just a weird dude. I think he's a lot like Joe Rogan, where he comes up with all of his comedy when he's high. And I think
Probably.
him and Joe Rogan's brains work differently when they're high
Yeah.
because Joe Rogan's brain works way different than this dude's brain. Um, on that note, I'll go ahead and rate this thing. I'm going to give it a 2.6, just,
Alrighty.
just below average.
2.6. 2.6. All right. I agree with you. He is a crazy person. He's a goofball. He's a silly goose. He's crazy. I was thinking while he was doing this, he's a combination of a bunch of people. I feel like he has some Dane Cook. I feel like he has some Eric Andre in him. Um, I feel like, and then at the end with the battle axe and cutting the pumpkin up, I even wrote Gallagher down. So
I, I,
he's a combination of all those
I
guys.
wrote down because it ended. And I wrote down, what happened with the pumpkins?
What were the pumpkins for, right?
She just randomly walked out. And the way it was going, I thought there was going to be some kind of joke where he was going to turn around and start like talking to him because the way he was talking about his brain doctor or whatever. I thought like pumpkins were going to trigger something or and they're going to try to make something funny out of it. And because he was acting like he didn't know his wife was doing it, I mean, as they hoot. So I was like, this is totally set up and ridiculous. And then they just sat there for the whole end of the thing.
Yeah. He's
So
like, that's it for me. Good night. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
I was like, what the pumpkins? And then finally during the credits, he cuts them in half, throws it on his head, which good for him.
And honestly, he did that way cleaner than I thought he was going to, because I thought he was just going to smash them all up to pieces and make a huge mess because that's what he does.
Yeah.
But he wanted to use the battle axe, and I think he even used the battle axe with those plastic
With
sheets on it.
plastic on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he still got right through that thing. Anyway, the battle axe thing, you got to watch it if you want to know what we're talking about there. But He is.
Hey, real
I
quick, he gave that battle axe to the right guy, didn't he? He
Yeah,
had
that
that
guy was
dude
good
picked
with
out.
it.
Well, he looked at that guy and had him picked out from the very beginning of the special. Because when that dude stood up, I was like, yeah, that's the guy you obviously give the battle axe to because you know he's going to do something like that. So, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe one of those guys that is into kind of the nerdy stuff, the
Absolutely.
medieval weapons and the yeah.
Yeah, he
who,
plays a
who
little
probably
with that cosplay kind of a deal or
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Sure. Um,
Dungeons and Dragons fella.
one of those kind of people that you see everybody like makes fun of his YouTube video of him in his backyard like wielding some different medieval swords and stuff like that, and he's dead serious about it and it's just hilarious to everybody else. Anyway, but that guy let out a great scream and he held it up like He-Man, and good job for that guy. TJ Miller is a crazy, and you know what? That's part of it too. I think he he does drugs. I think he does. I think he's done a lot more than smoke marijuana. I don't know if he still does or not. I don't know if he was doing it at that time. He definitely is very open about smoking marijuana all the time. So I agree with you that that probably has a lot to do with how he writes his jokes and while he's performing them. Also, he does have some brain I don't know if it's a disease or I forget what he called it, but where part of his brain is like it can aneurysm or whatever, and
Hemorrhage.
it
Hemorrhage.
can
Hemorrhage.
hemorrhage.
Yeah.
It can hemorrhage. Thank you. And but I think like there is something in his brain is that's a little off. I think there's like a I don't know what to call it, but there's like some kind of thing in his brain that just does not just tunes the dial a little bit further over than most people are. And I think there is a brain thing here. But and Chris, I really like weird comedy. Tim Heidecker was a guy we did in his shows that he's done on Adult Swim with Eric Wareheim, and some of the spin-offs that they've done and stuff. Incredibly strange. I mean, I feel like I don't talk to most people about those shows because I feel like they're going to be like, either I've never heard of it or, man, I watched that and I don't understand it at all. I don't understand what that's about, how you think it's funny. So I just don't do that, except one time that I did uh, a character that they used that John C. Riley plays on their shows, and that had a spinoff. Dr. Steve Brule, one of my favorite shows ever is the spinoff they did with him, and it's really weird and really like low budget cable access look that they always use, and it's strange comedy. And I said so, and this guy sent me like a meme or something with Dr. Steve Brule on it at work one day to answer something we were talking about with work, and I said, "Oh my god, have you ever watched this show? Do you know about it?" Dead silence. Did not write me back. Like, all right,
He
all right.
found a funny looking meme and sent it to you.
That's why I don't ask people about this show, because people are like, "What? Are you kidding me?" So anyway, but I like weird stuff, but it has to be the right kind of weird. There's weird stuff that I just think is weird and not funny. TJ Miller, for some reason, whatever it is a weirdo that hits my funny bone just right. I think he's so funny. I thought this special was really funny. I'm even thinking that I rated this a little low. You rated it 2.6. I'm rating this a 4.2. And I
Whoa.
almost think that's low.
Wow.
I think
Man.
this guy's really funny. Let me ask you this, though. You knew, like, it seemed like off the top of your head, I don't know if you started looking at this stuff when I mentioned him last week or if you just knew about this. He's gotten in a bunch of trouble before.
No,
Did,
I knew he got in trouble. I knew he got in
yeah,
trouble. Yeah, I seen it on the news or whatever.
did any of this, did your opinion about him, was it, was any of that factored in,
No,
you
not at
think?
all.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I just knew the type of comedy he did, and I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it. Like, I mean, we've had some specials on here where we've done where I'm like lost. I'm lost. Like the one dude who was doing a comedy special of like being a weird comic or something. I don't remember who that guy
It was
was.
Tim Heidecker.
Okay, yeah, that was the
Yeah.
worst thing I've ever seen in my life. So, and you loved it. Like I like laughing at how horrible it is.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know. Maybe that's what if that's what they're going for, then hey, way to go. But I just like I went back. You sent me a list of all of the comedy specials we've ever rated, and if you don't include the original Kings of Comedy and you don't include the Patrice O'Neill, the same guy is like Nate Bargatze's two specials we did are like two of the top four that I've ever rated. So it's a totally different type of comedy, man. It's totally different, right?
It is.
It's relatable. I feel like it's more relatable to me. So I can hear that stuff and I get a good giggle out of it. Whereas I love strange, funny comedy. Like I like totally get into some goofy stuff, but I don't know what it was about this. It just didn't.
There is. It's a weird subjective thing that I can't even figure out because I would say he's most similar of all the comedy specials we've watched. I would say he's probably most similar to Eric Andre.
And you hated that.
And I didn't like it at all. And I love TJ Miller. So I don't know. It's maybe it has something to do with the day, whatever else is going on in the day or in my life at the time or something. I don't know what it is, but
That could definitely be it.
I've always thought TJ Miller was really funny though, and I've always known how crazy and weird he is. But I don't know. This one just got to me just the right way. So anyway, that's where we're at. So we've got to pick a new comedy special, and I have got to pick a new Mount Rushmore.
Well, we got an issue, Adam.
Oh.
I forgot my my iPad on my trip to West Virginia. I'm using my phone to do this right now, which is usually what at this moment in time I'm scrolling through to find the newest Netflix comedy special. But I don't have any way of doing that, and I definitely did not do my homework before this. So guess what? You get to pick two this week. You get to pick back-to-back weeks.
Pick. Okay. So you want me to pick both, or you want to switch? You want to pick
No.
You want to pick
we can
Mount
just do that.
Rushmore, or
Yeah. Oh, you gonna make me do that too?
Well, I mean, I won't make you. I just either one of us are going to have to come up with something off the top of our head right now for the Mount Rushmore. So.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll do the Mount Rushmore. You pick the comedy special because you got a whole list of them anyway. Okay. So go ahead, do the comedy special, and I'll find a Mount Rushmore to come up with.
All right. So that's the big thing too. Now is we both want to go second on this because we both.
Nope, I already got mine.
Oh,
it's
you
okay.
do?
I already got it.
Wow.
I'm going with the Mount Rushmore of cheesy snacks.
Man, you're so good at that, man. That's a great idea.
Now, I'm not talking about cheese sauce. Cheese sauce doesn't count. I'm talking cheesy snacks.
So cheese whiz doesn't count?
Nope.
It can't be a condiment. It can't be a condiment. It has to be lost you.
And nacho cheese, like you can't just be nacho cheese, right? I don't know. Would nachos count on this because you're dipping in the cheese? But I feel like it's not a cheesy. No, I want something like a Dorito, like a
cheese flavor,
cheese puff, like some kind of like a snack that is cheese flavored.
Yep. Good call on that. Cheese. We'll call it cheesy snacks.
Mount Rushmore cheesy snacks.
So it can either be cheese flavor or cheesy / corny snacks. So like cheesy snacks being like
if you like a cheese pop, I'll even allow a cheese pop.
I was going for a bad joke there. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, I totally screwed you up.
No. It was awful. Okay.
All right, dad joke.
Yep. I got him. I'm full of them. Okay. Here's a guy that I would like to do. I know we both know him. We've talked about him before on this podcast, but we've never done a special of his before. As a matter of fact, this might be I don't know if he's done a special before this. He must have. I'm going to go Joel McHale. This is just from 2019.
Nice.
Joel McHale live from, and here's where I'm going to struggle, Pyongyang.
Sure.
He must have been in, where is this from? I don't know where that is. I'm going to say it's not in America or Europe, but
It's an Asian country of some kind.
Joel McHale live from Pyongyang.
We're gonna find
That's
out
my best
that.
guess.
We're gonna find out where it's at. What's it on?
This is on Amazon Prime.
All right.
It's on Amazon Prime. All right. So we've got our Mount Rushmore, and now I'm excited about both of those too. So that works. That works well.
I like
All
it.
right.
That's good to me. Joel
Love it.
McHale's fun. I love Joel McHale. I think the dude's hilarious. One of my many favorite talk soup people of all time. And also, oh, what was that silly show that we watched with that he was on with Kelly Kuko and Miss Pat?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, it was the Burt Kreischer, The Cabin on Netflix.
Miss Pat. Oh my god.
She was mad the whole time, boy.
The
She did not
greatest
want to be in any
ever.
water. She didn't want to have to get dirty.
She had never met Joel McHale, and those two immediately just went right at each other. Called him like Justin Timberlake or something. And he said something like, "What do you call her? Precious's long lost daughter or something." I can't remember. Oh my god, so
and I
great.
think she made Kaylee Cuoco urinate her pants. She was so
Yes,
scared of her.
Kelly Cuoco still has nightmares of that.
It's so funny though.
Oh my god. All right, perfect. So we're good to go. That turned out good. We've got 15 minutes left in the second half. UCLA is up by 5.
Ooh, man. All right. Thanks for the update. We'll finish
Talk about
this thing up and
we'll talk about the Final Four, and we'll talk about the championship next week. We will. That's probably what we're going to do most of the show on. We'll have the first week of Major League Baseball. Who knows? Something happens. Maybe we'll throw something out about that.
Because we'll talk about Amir Garrett's first fight. Yep.
Yes. I feel bad for whoever that is. It better be like, I mean, you could probably only name, maybe on one hand, the people that I think could beat up Amir Garrett in Major League Baseball. Maybe one hand.
Name one guy.
Aaron Judge.
Good call.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Carlos Stanton.
What's his personality like?
It don't matter. You get the right guy pissed off, and it don't matter what their personality is.
Yeah, probably right.
There ain't many people though that I think could beat up Amir Garrett. 2 of them are on the same team.
All giant guys. I wish I had that size.
Nah, it's no fun. Then things are too easy for you. Better for guys like us that got to work for all the things we get.
Disagree.
On that note, so Joel McHale coming up next week. We've got Mount Rushmore of cheesy snacks, Major League Baseball, the tournament. We're going to find out who wins the T-shirts. Until then, don't forget to turn your headlights on.